Hey guys and gals, it's your dude, sobercheferic, back at it once again. I know it's been a while, but today gonna be making some Let's Go Gumbo. Yeah, that's right. All right, hang out after this intro and I'll be right back. Alrighty guys and gals. Alright, what I got going so far is I've got 2 sticks of plant-based butter, but you can use regular butter or anything. Roux is real simple. It's 1 part fat to 1 part flour. So I've got 1 cup of flour here. And I'm using Bob's Tapioca, Bob's Red Mill. Amazing stuff. And the reason I'm doing that is I like to make things gluten-free. So now one of the rules of roux, that's funny. One of the rules of roux is the lighter the roux, the thicker the sauce. Now I'm going to be using 1 gallon of broth. So what I need to do is I need to get this roux to where it's like a brick red, dark brown. So that's going to take a little bit of time, and it's something you don't want to leave because burnt roux, ooh, talk about a nasty smell. So I'm going to put this on medium heat and get that going. And while I'm doing that, right over here, I've got a pan heating up, and I'm gonna cook everything. It's kind of a 2-step process. You build the roux, put in the broth, add all the ingredients, because it's hard to incorporate the roux and the sauce when you've got all the stuff in there as well. So I've got a tablespoon of canola oil, and I've got 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And as you can see, there's still some fat left because, you know, fat's flavor. Oh, you hear that? Oh, baby. Yeah. So, I've got my 2 pounds in there. And I've got 1 tablespoon of cracked black pepper, coarse ground black pepper, and 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. We're going to season that on up. And then I'm going to go over the other ingredients real quick, and then I will be back in a little bit once this roux is a little bit darker, because like I say, it is a time-consuming process, but it's still an easy recipe. So once this chicken gets a little more browned off, I'll be right back. Okay, alrighty, as you can see, the chicken is almost browned off. That doesn't mean it's fully cooked, but as you can see with that lovely steam, if you can see that, and the smell, oh my god, so good. But now we're gonna add one of my shortcuts. I've got Cajun Mirequiox, which is also known as the Holy Trinity, and this is 2 10-ounce bags, and it's equal parts green bell pepper, celery, and white onion. And you can normally find it in the freezer section at your grocery store. Just saves you a lot of chopping. And that's where a bulk of the flavor is going to come from, is that Trinity. So I'm going to saute this for a little bit, and sometimes you do get pieces of skin in there. And if you're going to use frozen vegetables, I always suggest that you thaw them first. And I'm going to look at the roux now. As you can see, it's still a nice white roux, and this would be great for thickening up, you know, gravies or whatever. But like I say, the darker it gets, the less thickening power it has, but the more flavor it produces. It gets a nice nutty, buttery flavor. Oh, I can't wait. So once this gets a little bit darker and the veggies get a little caramelized, I will be right back. All right, as you can see, the roux is nice and dark, so now we're going to add it a little bit at a time. And I'm adding 1 gallon of liquid. And look at that beautiful, nice, dark color. I don't know if you can see that through the steam. But that was only 1 quart, and we're doing a gallon. And what I did was I mixed up my veggie better than bouillon. And for a gallon, I use 3 tablespoons. Oh, wait, I'm gonna have to pause this. Everything's really steamed up. Just a second. Well, big mistake. It's been a long time since I've made gumbo. Now I remember why you add the roux to the liquid. Yeah. So, didn't have to really start over. I'm having to start over on the roux. But what I did do is I added 1 package of Zatarain's Cajun style smoked sausage. So it's not really a true andouille. Best place to get a true andouille, in my opinion, is from a local butcher that makes their own sausage. And so now we're going to add some seasonings. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon Tony Cashiers, or however you say that, Creole seasoning. And then where gumbo gets its flavor, or some of its flavor, is the gumbo filet. Zatarain's. But I'm going to wait to add that till we get the liquid in. So let me mix up some more broth and I'll be right back. Alrighty, time to move on from the mistake. And yeah, that's part of life. That's part of my recovery, is making mistakes. Lord knows I've made a few in my past, more than a few. And so, you know, sometimes you just got to pick up and start over. So that's what I did. I mean, I just transferred everything to the big pot I was going to use to serve anyway. And I added my 1 gallon of veggie broth. And I used the better than bouillon veggie. And now I'm going to add the 2 tablespoons of filet, which is going to act as a little bit of a thickening agent itself. But we're going to get most of the flavor from this roux that I had to restart. So we're going to get all that filet mixed in nice and good. Oh, baby. Now, as you can see, let me see if I can zoom in on that. It's starting to bubble, so remember, equal parts flour to equal parts fat. And as you can see, it's starting to bubble, so it's going to start changing color soon. So I will be back once it's a little darker, and then gumbo will be done. That's right, dishes are done, dude. Alrighty. Well, a little bit of a setback. The tapioca flour, I'd used my last 2 sticks of butter, or plant-based butter, making the first roux. And the tapioca, normally with roux, it's equal parts fat and flour, so I did that with olive oil, and it did not work. So I went back, I still had some almond flour from last time I made Gluten Free Gumbo. So the tapioca flour, as long as you're using butter, should work out just fine, but using just straight fat like I was using, it didn't quite work out that great. But as you can see, the gumbo is nice, rich, dark. I've got chicken, sausage, got the Holy Trinity in there. All that's looking good. I'm just working on my roux. Let me zoom in a little on that. And as you can see, it's browning. And I'm stirring constantly. So once this gets a little bit darker, I will be right back. Alrighty, as you can see, the roux's getting to a nicer dark color. Look how beautiful that roux is. Yep. Well, like I say, you know, sometimes you just got to start over and start from fresh, you know, and throw in generic sports cliche, quitters never win and winners never quit. Well, you know, guess what? It works. And I may not be winning, but I'm not a loser. Even though I love that song by Radiohead, you know, I'm a creep. Or by Beck, I'm a loser, baby, so why don't you kill me? But we're not killing anybody. We're not killing ourselves. We're not killing anybody. So, it's almost to the point where we're ready to dump it in. So let me switch you back to the gumbo. Let's go gumbo. Now what I'm gonna do is right before I see that, yeah, that's a half pound of shrimp. I've got all nice diced up. And this roux is almost to the point, it's at the point where I need to keep stirring it. So right before I go to add that in, I'm going to go ahead and add my shrimp. And I dice everything up to where it'll fit in a spoon, as you can see. Because, you know, gumbo's good, but I don't think you should have to eat it with a fork. I don't like my gumbo quite that thick. Now, thickness with gumbo, you know, some people like theirs a little, and then as a chef we call it thin, not quite as thick or loose. I don't like mine necessarily really tight like a stew or a chowder per se, but I do like it to have a little bit of body, and I'm going to be serving it with rice. And I'm going over to my buddy, my best friend Jeff's, and he did me the favor, he's making the rice for me, and I'm bringing the gumbo. And then my next tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to do dirty rice, and I guarantee you there won't be quite the screw-ups there that we had today, but hey, that's how you learn, that's how you remember. So, you know, it's all part of the process. You know, whether it be cooking, healing, whatever, you know. But look at that. That is almost ready. Now you got to be right on top of it at this stage, because it'll go from being done to burnt in a heartbeat. And we don't want that. We don't like burning things. Blackened, sure. Burnt, no. Now you want to make sure I've been simmering my gumbo on medium heat, because you want it nice and hot when you mix the roux in. Now I'm not going to mix all the roux in at one time. I'm going to add it little by little, and I'm going to take it off heat, and I'm going to get a ladle, and I will be right back. Alrighty. Moment of truth. Moment of truth. Yeah. See, you're still going to get that reaction, but not quite as bad as it was before. And I'm steaming up the lens again. we're gonna power through. Power through. Oh, double, toil and trouble. Yeah, I was never a big Shakespeare fan. But as you can see, it makes a little bit of a mess. But, you know, as long as you get on it right away, messes clean up nice and fine. And look at that, how beautiful that is. Oh. Just 1 second, I'm gonna have to get me a small bowl and do a little bit of tasting of this bad boy. So I'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back. And look at that steaming bowl of yumminess. So I'm going to start off with what I like the best, shrimp. Oh baby, that's some good stuff. Now I made this nice and mild because one of my buddies that's coming over for the fights, he can't handle spice very well. So we're gonna use just some hot sauce to spice it up. So guys and gals, I appreciate you hanging out until the very end and putting up with my mistakes and learn from my mistakes so you don't have to learn from your own. Okay? Remember, life's too short to eat bad food.